we're going to get right down to it today. And actually, before we hit the political headlines hot and heavy, there is a very interesting interview I've been looking forward to for quite some time. And actually, you'll get an extended version of this if you follow me on Substack. We're going to talk again. But Mr. C.R. Stewart, Chad Stewart, if you're not familiar, I hope that you get familiar. He is the author and creator of the Britfield series. The world of Britfield is more than just a book series. If you're not familiar, we're going to give you a good rundown on that and a lot of fun things that are happening in that world. Coming on with me now, Mr. C.R. Stewart. Chad, how are you doing? Thank you for being with me today, sir.
Doing great, Ryan. Great to talk.
Hey, it's good to talk to you. And I tell you what, this has been, it's no secret. All my listeners know I love books, love reading. We read with our kids. And the Britfield series is one I just happened to stumble across. It has been on my radar. I'd heard of it, but I found book 1 in a thrift shop, bought it, and immediately went to your website, bought books 2, 3, and 4, and book 5 is coming out this year. But it is so much more than a great novel fiction series for young adults and honestly for adults as well. It is really, in my mind, you're looking to revitalize art and literature itself, history and geography buried in this. I would love if you'd give me a rundown. What is the Britfield series, the world of it, and what brought you to this? Have you been an author forever, or was this a leap in your career?
Yeah, I think as a fast overview on what Britfield is I think what's great about the series, we launched Britfield and Lost Crown book 1 in August 2019. It's a fast-paced young adult adventure series. Our youngest reader is 7, our oldest reader is 93 years old, and 55% of our global audience are adults. I think what makes it extremely unique, especially in today's time, is that it takes place in current time. We don't use any type of heightened fantasy, witchcraft, demigods, or superheroes. They're really as authentic as can be. They're, again, a fast-paced adventure series. Around 2 key characters, Tom and Sarah. Book 1 starts in England, up in Yorkshire, northern England. And Tom's been an orphan his entire life. This is the year. He's been at Weatherly Orphanage for 6 years. This is the year he's going to escape. That's said within the first couple of lines, so you know that where the story is going. And then he's not going anywhere without his best friend, Sarah. And somewhere along the lines, they're followed by an illustrious detective, Gowerstone, who's renowned for capturing runaway orphans. And right before Tom leaves, he learns 2 things. One, his parents might still be alive. And I'm thinking to myself, can you imagine being an orphan your whole life and suddenly realizing your parents might be alive? And he's given 1 clue, Britfield, which is a royal clue. And they move from Yorkshire to Oxford to Windsor to London and finally down to Canterbury. It's 384 pages. And it's one of the most awarded books in children's fiction to date, which is extraordinary. It's a 7-book series. Book 2 takes place in France. Book 3 takes place in Italy. Book 4 is in Eastern Europe. I just finished book 5, Britfield and Lost Treasure, which takes place in Asia. We include 12 countries. And then I just got back from South America, where I was doing some research for book 6. So book 6 will be in South America. Then we bring back the series to the United States and finally all the way back to Britain for book 7. So just finished book 5. We're in pre-production of the first of 7 major motion live action movies. We'll hopefully be filming in England next year. And we're excited. It's really based on family, friendship, loyalty, courage, and hope. As children are reading and as adults are reading it, they're learning about geography, art, architecture, culture, and history. And we hit the 4 C's: creativity, critical thinking, communication, and collaboration.
Mm. And I can attest, it really is. I mean, we have hit so many tangents with, my kids as we've read through this with the oldest. And I'm excited to do it again because we've got numbers 2 and 3 that are going to be interested. We'll go through it. We frequently cycle through. I'll start with the older kid and then we'll kind of end up reading it again. And of course, he wants to participate as well. But we're squarely in the middle of book 4 right now. And I'm excited about this because I'll admit, when I first grabbed this, I thought, all right, cool. We got read book 1 partway through. I thought this is fun. There's some intrigue, but it's a good adventure story. I was not prepared for book 2 because, and this is, folks, why I really want you to get this on your radar, whether it's for your kids or grandkids or just for you. Book 2, full-blown conspiracy, one world government, all the shadowy figures behind the scenes, and yet returning to a historical. Oh my goodness! Like the storyline is just almost ripped out of the headlines, and yet I'm dealing with a fun set of fictional characters set in the modern world. That alone was exciting enough for me to keep going. But you've just put so much rich history, geography, architecture into this. It really is an incredible learning experience, an opportunity to branch out into other interested things as these characters bring alive real times, real places, and quite frankly, more real storylines than I would care to admit when it comes to the conspiracy side. It's, I mean, what did you see the headlines, read the room, and kind of put this stuff in, or were you way ahead of some of the things that we've seen in the news writing these books?
Yeah, and it's interesting you're referencing book 2, Britfield and the Rise of the Lion. That's always been my Empire Strikes Back, as if my first one was Star Wars. Kind of introduces you. It's a fun overall adventure. Then you get into 2, and you're like, whoa, full blown, curtain pulled. And yeah, I mean, I'm a history major, British literature major, and started really doing deep research and what I like to say, relearning history about 12 years ago. Again, pulling back the curtain and digging into real history and really what happened, and been kind of a long road, and it just sort of paralleled very well with the series. On one hand, I'm writing a very fun, exciting, fast-paced adventure. It takes place in real time. It's good versus evil. It's kind of a David and Goliath type of story, and then because it's based in real time, and they're against a sort of enemy called the Committee, based on the Committee of 300. It just resonated and worked. It's not forced; it's threaded throughout, but it's the type of things that they would be dealing with. Britfield kind of represents the true monarchy of the British Empire, going all the way back to the 1200s, that were usurped century after century. Everything from Henry VIII to the Tudors. To the Tudors, to the Stewarts, which part of my bloodline, and then into the Windsors. And there was a huge pivoting point in 1807 when Queen Victoria became, when Victoria became Queen of Great Britain. And so, again, it's modern day, it takes place in current time, but all this threaded in really nicely. And the Britfields kind of represent what one would hope from a monarchy or even a presidency, where it's giving back to the people, not oppressing them, providing, good, free, solid education, land to work. And whereas all the other monarchies were stealing, taking, and so they were a threat. And so the bloodline was thought to be dead. That's the only hint I'll give. And so it's just a wonderful, wonderful thread. And it's great because it builds on my history as a British literature major, European history major. I lived off and on in England for 2 years. So again, I was writing about what I knew. I was writing about what I love. And as I said before, it's kind of a combination between the Hardy Boys, Nancy Drew, and James Bond.
It's true. It's true. It really is fantastic that it's set in modern day. And frankly, I'll say the values and the interesting side of the story I'd love to get into in the next one. And sticking around with me on the other side. Again, folks, we're talking with C.R. Stewart, author of the Britfield series, really the creator of the world of Britfield. There's a whole media empire. I want to tell you about it with him on the other side of the break. We'll be right back on The Reckoning. Hey, we're back on The Reckoning. Into the next segment we roll along. I've still got on the line with me Mr. C.R. Stewart, author of the Britfield series. And of course, the creator of an entire world here, a media empire. That's the part that I'd love to get to now. But before I do, again, folks, I hope you check this out. Britfield.com. That's probably your gateway drug into several hours of your time disappearing. I'm not condoning drugs. Just reading. Reading is your drug. Make reading your drug. Britfield.com. You can find all of it there. Books 1 through 4. Book 5 comes out in January. Is that right, Mr. Stewart? January.
Yes, correct. Yep.
Release. This, one of the things, but before I get, because I'd love to hear about, I know you've got, a play version, a stage play version of book 1 and plans for more. You've just said, hoping for movies on all 7 of these. One of the things that I love about this, the revitalization, not just of good literature, of family-centered literature, which, again, we've talked, and we're going to talk more on a big bonus interview. If you want to see that, a very long form, make sure you're subscribed over at ryanheight.substack.com. We're going to release that probably tomorrow, maybe Friday. You want to get into the details of this, but there's so much here. We have just been awash in, I would just say, a terrible trash throwaway media where it really is just vacuous. It means nothing. There's no values that last, quite frankly, a lot of it, whether it's around wizardry and witchcraft or superheroes and all sorts of things. It doesn't actually bring out the human story that comes with our God-given talents and our, the character qualities and values that we're looking for in real life. It's all the stuff based on, well, if you only had a superpower, if you were only part of the magical wizard crew, if you were only this or that or the other, you could do these cool things too. That is not the Britfield books. The Britfield books are all about values that we have built in from our creator, about, love and self-sacrifice, about, the common good, about truth and justice and righteousness. All of that is built into this. I absolutely love that. You're creating a world of real good role models that I want my kids and I want to aspire to be like these people. Fear in the face of, or courage in the face of dangerous things and fear. That's just wonderful. Was that the goal going into this, or is it just
It
something you
was.
fill out?
Yeah, I mean, book one took me 4 years and 2,500 hours to create the 384-page book. So it's quality over quantity. Of course, anything of value takes time. In fact, I didn't talk about it on the long form show, but what we did for every book, by the third or fourth draft in manuscript form, we would take it out to the educational public, middle schools, and we had anywhere from like 150 to 200 children reading the manuscript. They had 3 weeks to read it, and then they had a 2.5-page survey, and that come into the library, and we would knock it around, around the round table with 4 or 5 of them talking about it. What'd you like? What didn't you like? What didn't you understand? What was disconnected? And we scored a 9.03 out of a scale of 1 to 10 across the board on all different demographics. But their feedback was great, and little bits and pieces and little things here and there. So the book was very dialed into our audience. Number two, again, the main theme of the entire fast-paced adventure series is family. It's family, friendship, loyalty, courage, and hope. And I love that. And you're right. It's based on in current time. They're as authentic as can be. And we like to call it stealth education because as your children are reading it, as adults are reading it, they're learning about geography, art, architecture, history, and culture. And I wanted to say one thing that's kind of fun. Two things. One is some of the things that are threaded through it. These are some of the themes: the dangers of artificial intelligence, quantum computers and data collection, AI manipulation of the stock market, push for one world digital currency, the hidden group that dictates world events, fake wars and fiat money systems, compromised governments and agencies, super soldiers and DNA splicing, social credit scoring to force obedience. That's just a taste and a touch.
You can see, folks, why I've brought a fictional author onto the talk show today, because this is not exactly all that fictional. A lot of the concepts you're dealing with. But let me ask you this. I know you've got plans. I've referred to it a couple of times. A media empire. You're hoping to shove aside some of the really popular works that are just, like I said, part of that vacuous. Gives us really nothing. Just almost a waste of space. You've brought this forward, book one, to a stage play that has already gone out to multiple schools across the country. You've got plans for films for all 7 of these. I think that'd be fantastic. Of course, book 5 of 7 is coming out in January. This is a real opportunity where you've expanded not just like a media empire. We're writing the books, we've got the plays, the movies. You use this as an educational opportunity to go across the country to get into schools, to promote literacy, all the things you've mentioned, geography, art, history, but also really to build up children again into a world of literacy and literature that we have really lost in the modern era. As you've gone and done these things, you've got summer writing workshops, there's all sorts of neat stuff. What has the response been from families, from kids, from educators? Because this is so very needed in our world of public schooling today that doesn't really educate kids to think for themselves, be curious anymore, at least not in large part. But what has your response been in that?
It's been heartwarming, and it's been phenomenal, and not just nationally but globally. From Germany to Japan to Brazil to South Africa, if you can imagine. And children just love it because they can connect with the characters. And I think that's one of the most key things of it. You're never going to connect to Harry Potter because you're not a magician. You're never going to connect to Superman because you can't fly and you don't have those kind of superpowers. And those books are designed to disconnect kids from reality, make them feel less than they are, and introduce nefarious topics and agendas. And so it's been great. I was thinking about one of our readers, Iris, and she started reading this series when she was 11 or 12. She read book 1 like 8 times, and her mom contacted me and she goes, "Iris has now turned her room into an explorer room." And I just thought, how cool is that? I'm like, I don't quite know what that looks like, but I bet there's some pictures of England. There's a big map, and I thought that's a lot better than a room of witchcraft, or wizardry or vampires, right? And that's the kind of impact we're having. There's a couple best-selling authors out of Idaho, Bible Bells, if you're familiar with that, and their little daughter Rooney, cutest thing in the world. She's read book 1 like 8 to 9 times. Her and her dad flew all the way out for our premiere of the Britfield Lost Crown theatrical play in Southern California, and so she got to come see the live play, and obviously we gave her a signed poster and the whole bit and stuff. So. I think that's been the biggest thing, is that they can relate to the characters. They feel like they're in it. They feel like they're there. You're having some of these 12, 13, 14-year-olds read the entire book within either. I've had one read it in one sitting, and it's not because it's simply written. It's just, it's engaging, or a weekend. And you'd mentioned, I think, reading it in 4 days or something to that extent. And that's the best compliment. I mean, most books people can't finish because they're so boring or disconnected. And so the very fact that people are just running through it, and I get a lot of repeat readers, 3-4 times. And I love that because it's layered. There's a lot in there. And you were asking me earlier about my background. Yeah, I had a writing background, mostly specifically in the areas of script writing. And so it taught me the art of writing, really, the 3-act structure, economy of words, starting on the action, ending on the action, using only using dialogue that's relevant, only bringing in things that move the story forward, and not wasting words, not wasting time, and not wasting description. And so, although they're well described, and you've read them, so you can attest to this. I kind of frame it, but I don't go overboard. And so, one of my greatest things to that is I allow your mind to fill in pieces, and I think. In book 1 with the hot air balloon, not giving anything away, but I'll describe the basket, the tanks, the balloon, the rope, the netting, all the kind of structure of it. I never once in the book describe what color it is. And I think that's interesting. And because it's like, you know what, you fill in the color. What do you see? And so that's kind of an example of some of the writing I do. It's very strategic. And I wanted to say one more thing because I remember from our other, before I start every book, I'll watch back to back the 7 seasons of 24. And then I'll get into my Daniel Craig, James Bond movies. Then I'll watch Mission Impossible. And then I'll end with The Bourne Identity. And so just so you know, that's the fuel that fires me up before I write these things. So you just have these fast-paced, high-octane, fun, exciting adventures.
Well, that is one heck of a routine winding up to write a book. I tell you what, I respect it. It's a good list. It's a very good list. But I really appreciate what you're doing, bringing forward not just, historical, educational opportunities to kids, but really bringing us good, solid values, character qualities to hold up as an example in the world, not just of a lot of the classic literature, the fantasy and adventure that we're used to, some of the greats, but in the world of modern thriller and dynamics and things that are happening. It's been an excellent opportunity for me and my kids, especially my oldest, who's done most of this with me, to not just go through good stories, good adventure, good characteristics, but to have a lot of introduction to the world and how the world works. And for those of us who are paying attention to the headlines, it's, some of your more fantastical items aren't all that fantastical. They're going on quite a bit around us, and it leads to some really good discussions. I'm so grateful for that, for the play, for the movies coming forward. I love a good movie as long as it's controlled well by the author, which it sounds like you've got a lot of that locked down. I'm so excited for it all. Remind folks the best place to find copies of these books, to find out about the 5th release coming up here in a few months.
Sure. Britfield.com, Britfield, Britfield.com. It's our website. It's very interactive, dynamic, tons of information there. You can go to the store. You can buy book 1, buy the 2-pack, 3-pack, or 4-pack books. I'm still signing the books if they're purchased through the website, which is kind of exciting, and won't be doing that for too much longer because things are getting very hectic and busy. But you can always go to any other platforms like Amazon and Barnes & Noble. But visit us at our website, spread the word, get it out there. Tell your friends. If you're a homeschooler, you're going to love this. If you're an educator, you're going to love this. If you're a librarian, you're going to love this. If you're a mom, this is the series you've been waiting to read and give to your kids. So rock and roll and get moving.
Yeah, it's true. I fully endorse all of the above as a reader of the series and as an appreciator of everything you've put into it. C.R. Stewart, thank you so much for the Britfield series. Keep going, and we'll stay in touch because I'm excited about the release of 5 and all of the things coming forward in the world of Britfield. Britfield.com. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Ryan. God bless.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye.
You too. Folks, it really is. We're in the middle of book 4. This has been one of the most exciting things that we've picked up in a long time. There's great literature of the past. My family, we're a fan of, especially with our kids, Tolkien, C.S. Lewis, a lot of the greats, including other pieces of classic literature. But in the modern world, there are not a whole lot of writers bringing these excellent family qualities to books that are worthwhile. These are worthwhile. Britfield.com. Go and check it out. Get some copies. Just trust me. Get it. You will not be disappointed.